Hey everybody, it's Cameron. I'm here for my live stream on some crypto and whiskey. Right there are a couple of those whiskeys I've got sitting out. Those are some beans getting ready to be made in the Instant Pot. Yeah, DJ Soy Boy is going to make fun of me for that for sure, because nobody knows how old I am. So, this year, 2019, is definitely going to be interesting. I've got a few things I want to talk to you guys about. There's been some interesting news. First thing that I think is interesting is somebody who predicts that tomorrow big money is moving in to BTC because it was too hard to do it in January. They can't be bothered, or in December, they can't be bothered with the forms. And 2019, this is it. January 2nd, buy BTC now because it's going to go up tomorrow. Lots of big money. I'll give you that. That link I actually already put in the description. It's an interesting thought. I hope it's true. Who doesn't, right? So there's that. And then we need to talk about something that really is interesting to me. Kind of the reason I've been involved in cryptocurrency really since the beginning is dumb alerts. Something that's interesting to me about cryptocurrency in general is getting rid of a centralized bank, getting the idea of peer-to-peer payments. I talk about it all the time. We have to do it. If we're not using crypto to buy stuff, then we're not helping the situation. But what's interesting is most of us live in the United States or in Europe, and so we have already the ability to have a stable currency, even though it's a fiat currency managed by a centralized bank and a government. We have that ability to just use that currency and buy stuff, like whiskey. But what about in a place like Venezuela? So those are some of the other news stories I posted. Venezuela is having a tremendous problem with hyperinflation, as you may or may not know. And there's some people that say, hey, cryptocurrency, that's the answer. And of course, their president has already made a cryptocurrency based on their oil industry. It's not a real cryptocurrency because it's centralized and it's managed by the frickin' government. So, yeah, no. But that second article that I link in there, I think really tells a lot about what the situation is. And it's actually kind of the situation right here in the United States and probably a little bit in Europe too. And that problem is that although we can come up with a way to use crypto peer-to-peer, so when DJ Soy Boy comes over and DJs my mad party, yeah, I know I'm too old for that. But anyway, I could just send him some denarius right from my Koinami wallet to his, and that's fine, and nobody's going to know. Awesome that it's private if I want it to be, all that good stuff, right? There he is, and that's great. But the real problem is that the government can still regulate how we run a business with cryptocurrency, and so that's the problem. So peer-to-peer, that's great, but now I want to run a business. That means I have to have a business license. So a lot of you guys don't really know me. A few of you guys have met me in real life, and I've got a lot of different interests and background. And I used to own a business, and I was licensed at every level of government possible. I was licensed by the city. I had to have, even though I was licensed by the city, I still had to register with the county and pay taxes to the county. I had to register with the state and have a state business license and pay taxes to the state. And because of the type of business it was, I was also had to have not just a federal tax ID number for the business, but I also had to have another license from another branch of the U.S. government. And actually, they wanted me to have even more. And at any one of those levels, they could have shut me down. So if anybody doesn't want crypto to succeed, they're going to just hammer down the businesses. And that's exactly what that second article about Venezuela talks about, is how that president would have no problem at all hammering down on the businesses, even jail time. Here's a deep concept for you. especially you, soy boy. Every law ultimately is backed by the threat of death. Because any little... That's a video about getting cucked by the government, yes. Every little thing you do, every regulation, ultimately, if you violate it, whether it's not paying your grazing fees, ultimately, could somebody come up from the government and they are in the right because that's what the law said, and ultimately you could lose your life over it. Now, it might be bullshit and it may not be fair, but ultimately that's the problem. So anyway, getting off track, I wanted to talk about these other articles and stuff, but that's the problem with mass adoption still, is that until we get some government buy-in, we are not going to really, even with completely anonymous cryptocurrencies, we're not going to be able to use them at businesses because the government regulates business. What do you think of that? I saw one person said they agree. I don't even know how many viewers I have right now. It's hard for me to always look at my chat here. I'm going to move upstairs to the main computer. Yeah, let's see. Oh, 2 views. Well, hey, thanks you guys for tuning in. Hopefully other people are going to watch this later anyway, and if you guys have some discussion to make this thing even more interesting, that's always helpful. And now, specifically, one of the things I wanted to talk about was Denarius. Denarius really has a future with the privacy stuff. If Carson and NKs keep kicking some butt on their programming, you know, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when I was down in Vegas for CryptoCon with SafeCoin, and I see you're with me. You can't be. You're not really alone. And I got to meet some people, and I mentioned this actually directly to Carson, is that people really think highly of his development skills and his coding skills as far as like Tribus Algo and stuff like that. And so that's pretty neat. And so Denarius, with its future limited supply, ring transactions, Tor, all of the different things that are going to make that a really good privacy coin, I think are going to be really useful for that. But we have to overcome some of these other obstacles first, and that's really with mindset and getting government buy-in, which is another news article I was going to talk about too. But now, if you guys are all getting bored, we can always talk about whiskey. That's what's drowning most of the pain for whiskey right now. I mean, for cryptos right now, is a little bit of whiskey. I'm kind of joking, but only kind of. So let's real quick look at the close-up of my chin. That's exactly what you guys wanted to see. So these are the whiskeys we're going to talk about in the next couple weeks. Now, I'm not going to drink all these this morning, but I did have a little bit of this Stagg Jr. last night. You can see that one isn't topped off. A little bit of Buffalo Trace. Now, Buffalo Trace are pretty common, like $30. It's pretty cheap, pretty easy to get. But you know, it's kind of one of those hidden gems because I forgot about it. I hadn't had Buffalo Trace except for maybe if it was at the bar, and that's what they used for their better than well, but not high-end stuff. But it really is a good one. I made old fashions last night with both the Stagg Jr. and the Buffalo Trace, and they were really good. The dude at the store said I should try the mixing those two. Neat. So that'll be it. Rakia Suchka. I don't know what that is. I'll look it up, Mr. Fool. All right. You the fool. Pinhook in a wine bottle. It's a bourbon. Comes out of Frankfort, Kentucky. So that one's unopened. Super cheap here. It was only $35, but we'll see how it is later. So I'm going to move upstairs real quick. I'm going to get up to my computer, and I want to talk about those articles because it's just way too early to be day drinking right now on 1st of New Year. Uh-oh. You're all right. All right, so let's see here. The articles that I linked in my description here are this blockchain insider from this Sarson Funds, where he's the guy that says, as of January 2nd, banks will reopen and hedge funds holding on to new deposits will be cleared to wire deposits to cryptocurrency exchanges. We expect it to be more than enough buying power to cause a massive surge in digital asset prices. Well, we'll see. I'm not going to tell anybody to buy or sell. Hey, what's up, man? But I think this is interesting. If this is true in even the slightest bit, any kind of the Bitcoin pump can usually help the stronger alts. So when you guys have a chance, read that. That's the Sarson Funds Blockchain Insider. The Venezuela, the first news article I talk about, or I linked in there, is that Venezuela is seeing the biggest increase in Bitcoin volume to date. This is as of a week ago, and they're obviously switching to Bitcoin on a user-to-user basis because their own money doesn't hold value. I mean, the inflation is crazy. They lopped 3 or 4 zeros off of it just last year. People go over to Colombia to buy stuff. They can't get toilet paper. So that first article just kind of talks about some of the switching to Bitcoin. But the other article from Forbes, so reputable source, is really, I think, a very thoughtful article with some good insight. As far as the ultimate thing is, would it be nice if they could use some sort of cryptocurrency? And it should be a lot better than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is way too slow, expensive, but more importantly, not anonymous. Yeah, I still read Forbes, man. You gotta get some information from more than one source. So, but Maduro, he's gonna hammer down, man. That's the facts, like we were talking about even here with that. So that article I think is interesting. You guys should take a minute and read through that. As far as moving money in and out of Venezuela, crypto could be maybe somewhat useful, but same thing. They're not going to be able to go to businesses if the government decides that they're not going to, if they're not going to support it. And Maduro, I mean, come on, power-hungry leader. He's not going to allow that. So those things are worth reading. The things I want to talk about later this year when I start trying more of those whiskeys, and we start talking about some of the different cryptocurrencies and projects that I'm involved in. We can start chatting about things like Mimblewimble. I'm kind of interested in that. Grin, I don't know as much as I can understand the technology on that blockchain design, the Mimblewimble. It sounds really interesting. It'll be interesting to see if other projects adopt it, and see how it compares to Equihash as far as popularity and mining resistance from ASICs and stuff. There's so many different things to think about with that. So later in the year, you guys leave some comments. Later this week, this month, we can talk about algos. We can talk about privacy, the different types of privacy. There was another article, I should have linked to it already, that I was reading about this should be the year that you try Tor. So if you're not using Tor, there's a good reason to, which is, you know what, people are watching our stuff, and it's a fact. So Brave browser is, I haven't read anything about it. I'm just pulling it up right now. But Brave browser is supposed to be able to also include some Tor support that I'm going to look into. So maybe we need to be thinking about Tor, privacy. We need to talk about cryptocurrencies that are private, I2P and Freenet. Okay. Do you have any links, or can you send me a link on Discord about how it's compromised? I'd definitely be interested if Tor is compromised. But this is where we have to start looking at man, do you use, you love it. I'm going to start checking it out. Do you guys use a VPN? Exit node, Tor exit node run by NSA. Wow. So I'm going to have to look more into that. Oh, wow. Somebody thinks Carson is working for I2P. Interesting. So privacy is an issue. VPS, I use Proton Mail because, I mean, it's at least a little bit better, but it's only end-to-end encrypted for people. Oh, got it. Oh, yeah, I get it. He's working on I2P for Denarius instead of Tor. Got it. Thanks for clearing that up. Sorry. Yeah, you know what? I think you're absolutely right. I'm sure I read that somewhere with ring signatures and some of the other stuff that Buzz posted. So Proton Mail for encrypted mail, I2P, Tor, VPNs. I've even thought about using that. Is it a tomato router? You guys know more about some of this stuff than I do. I'm just on the edge of this, just enough to get myself in trouble. Hey, Kev, Happy New Year to you too. Glad to see you're watching. That's Kev's, just borrowed Kev's signature move there. So, Kev, you got here. I'm just getting ready to wrap up. I'm going to laugh when I say this. If my girlfriend heard me say this, she would definitely not say it's true. But I'm not as long-winded as you, Kev. But yeah, I can't talk. I can talk for a while. It's true. We're going to have to definitely do a joint discussion. So, anyway. I think I'm about wrapped up. I covered the few things I wanted to talk to you guys about. Oh, come on, man. We all do. I talk too much. It's the bottom line. It's a fact. I own it. Kev, you're with me. I know it. Man, predictions. That is the most dangerous thing. If you guys want to get a little crazy, Soy Boy's the only one that would be bored enough, have enough time to do this. Go into the Shield Discord and search up pinned messages, and I wrote something really stupid about a prediction for 2018. So we all know where Shield is right now. It's in the shitter. And let's not even talk about it. And I'm not going to make any predictions other than safe nodes are going to come out with for SafeCoin. There is going to be an increase in demand for useful currency projects. Bitcoin, I think we're going to see a rise. Gosh, shouldn't make any predictions, but I don't think we're going to see anything like we did in 2017. I don't think we're going to see any crazy $20,000 valuation on BTC. But Bitcoin predictions are so dangerous. You guys are going to look back at this in a year, and maybe BTC will be 20,000. You'll be like, Cameron missed the boat. But who knows? Safe nodes, that's something that I don't want to talk about right now because being part of the team, and this is just kind of my own video on the side, I don't want to cross any boundaries for information sharing, saying the right thing or the wrong thing, shilling, any of that kind of stuff. But safe nodes are interesting with the concept, like Komodo, of notarizing to another blockchain, and I see that SafeCoin has a really positive future with that. So if you guys aren't already tuned in, do that. Number one recommended masternode. It's going to be safe nodes. That's the only thing I can recommend right now. Man, that's so tough. Again, you're making predictions, making recommendations right now. You just get wrecked. I think Denarius is a solid project, as I mentioned earlier, with Carson having such a good reputation for his coding skills. And then SafeCoin with Jeff, he is such an outstanding, broad-minded, business-minded leader of that project. Plus, he's got coding skills. So you're making a really good combination there. So those two. But, a year ago, you're welcome. A year ago, I would have told you that Shield had so much promise with quantum resistance. And I still think quantum resistance is important. Right now you can get online and you can send IBM little problems to solve on their quantum computer. And it's like a not node, whatever they call it, 5-bit, but it's not bits because they're whatever. Some people have said a big miner, a huge miner that was down in Vegas said that. Yeah, it is way too hard to follow all the new, yes, a qubit. It's too hard to follow all the new projects. But if you had asked me 6, 8, 10, 12 months ago about SHIELD, quantum resistance, I do think it's important. I don't think it's complete bullshit. I think we have to recognize that it can potentially break algorithms and encryption that are important to making cryptocurrency work. So we have to at least be aware of it. And now look where we are. The big miner down in Vegas told me, he's like, nah, it's not going to matter. Quantum computers aren't going to change how cryptocurrency and how the blockchain works. Maybe he's right. I have more to learn about that too. But anyway, so predictions, I got nothing solid. Don't bank on it. Don't take any investment advice from this dude Cameron that drinks whiskey. I will give you good advice and predictions on whiskey, though. Little Book is going to get more valuable. And I have a bottle of it that is stored in deep dark in a closet. And I have a bottle that's empty, but I'll show it to you guys next time I'm live streaming. Dude, whiskey is where it's at. I know you've mentioned this before on Denarius server, but I've never had any Slavic stuff at all. But on that note, I know it's not super close, but next year I'm heading over to Greece and the Mediterranean, but I don't think I'm going to get anywhere other than Turkey and Greece and maybe Italy. But anyway, cool, you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being interactive with me, and I'll try to do a live stream a couple of times. Rocky. All right, I'll drink Rocky in Turkey. We've got a while to talk about it. Thanks, Crouton. I appreciate you guys. Share my link and stuff. People can watch these later. I definitely like live streaming better than I like making videos. So thank you, Krev. I look forward to making more. So, all right. I did get OBS Studio, though, so maybe I can make some others, too. All right, guys. Have fun.